Coming up on this episode of Freedom from Fire, we're talking about Black History Month and firefighting. The history of African American firefighters is an important part of Philadelphia Fire Department history. Today, we'll learn more about their accomplishments, and I'll sit down with the president of Club Valiants, a fraternal organization established to ensure equality among minority firefighters. We have all that and more, so stay tuned to Freedom from Fire. Hello and welcome to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Philadelphia Fire Commissioner Adam Thiel. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to some of our local safety partners. Later in today's program, I will be talking with Captain Lisa Forrest, president of Club Valiants. The club was founded in 1962 and today has over 500 members. Looking back, we owe the celebration of Black History Month to Dr. Carter G. Woodson. For too many decades, African Americans were absent from American history. Dr. Woodson recognized this failure, and in 1926, he established Black History Month as a way to officially recognize and honor the many accomplishments and painful history of African Americans throughout our country's history. What you might not know is it was not until the 20th century that African Americans started to gain a presence in the history books. Several sources, including the detailed website of historian Mike Lagueros, point to the summer of 1817 in New Orleans, Louisiana, as being the earliest record of African American firefighters. Another historic first was the first known woman firefighter in the United States. She was an African American woman by the name of Molly Williams. Unfortunately, she was offensively called Volunteer Number 11 with the Oceanus Engine Company 11 in 1818. Even though early records of African American firefighters have been scattered over time, perhaps an educator or a team of researchers will continue sifting through the countless documents, images, and personal accounts to reveal more truths about the rich history of African American firefighters in our nation. One of those African American firefighters making history with us is here today. Captain Lisa Forrest is the first African American female captain in the Philadelphia Fire Department. She's also president of the Philadelphia Organization for African American Firefighters, Club Valiants. So, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You grew up here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So talk about your neighborhood and what it was that made you want to be a firefighter.
Okay. I grew up in the Mount Airy section of Philadelphia, Wadsworth to be exact, and I never wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to go into the Army. I don't know exactly what made me want to go into the Army, but as a little kid, I always wanted to be in the Army. So after high school, I went to college first and then joined the ROTC program. After a year of college, I decided to go into the Army. That worked out for a little while. Unfortunately, I had to leave the Army. I got a medical discharge. So now I needed a job. The fire department was hiring. Also, the post office was hiring. And I had an opportunity to go into the Air Force. The post office called me first. I said, I don't think I want to do that. That's not my calling. I had friends that worked for the post office. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go into the Air Force. So my next choice was the fire department. And it's funny how I came across the fire department's application. I was in church one Sunday and someone put a flyer in saying that the fire department was hiring. At this time I had about 2 days to put my application in before the deadline. I was so scared that my application wouldn't go through that I physically took it down to the municipal building. And next thing you know, I took the test, and I pretty much just waited for them to call me. It took about 2 years for them to call me, and I'll never forget when I got the call. I was at home. My mother called me up and said, "Hey, someone just knocked on the door, said the fire department is looking for you." I said, "Mom, yeah, right." So I said, "Okay, I'll see you when I get home." She said, "I have a card. Someone knocked on the door, and I have his card. And he's telling you to go down to the fire administration building at 8 o'clock on Monday morning." This was a Friday evening. So on Friday, I got home, I looked at the card and saw that it was legit. And then Monday morning, I went to the fire administration building. Right there, my interview took place. Next thing you know, they said, "You're gonna leave here, and then you're going to go to the medical building to get a physical, and then you'll be starting on next Monday." I said, "Wait a minute." I didn't get any time to tell my job what's going on or anything. So I said, "Well, okay." It was a good thing I worked for my uncle at the time. So I said, "Unc, I got an opportunity." And he said, "I understand." I said, "I know it's protocol to give 2 weeks, but I don't have 2 weeks." So that's pretty much how, I came to become a firefighter. And I went through the academy, faced some challenges in the academy, but pretty much made it through. And then I went to my first assignment, which was at Engine 51 at Oyo Road in Champlain. From there, I was promoted to lieutenant and went to Engine 50 at Broad and Glenwood. Then I left there and went to the Randolph Skills Center and taught there. But the funny thing about that, I went to Randolph Skills Center. I was a high school student there, so it was something that I could be proud of going back 10 years later, and was teaching at the high school that I went to. From there, from Randolph, I went to the recruitment unit and started doing some recruitment. But in the meantime, I took the captain's test, and I went to my first station at Engine 73, 76 Nogans. Now, that place has a special, it has a special place in my heart. And the reason behind that is because Engine 73 is in the neighborhood that I grew up. And they tease me all the time because every time I'm on a fire truck and we go to various places in the neighborhood, people are calling my name. "Hey, Lisa." Like, so some of the members tease me that I'm the female mayor of Engine 73 because we had another guy that was assigned there. He was the other mayor. So he was the male mayor. I'm the female mayor of Engine 73.
Well, that's awesome. And maybe mayor someday, who knows? Mayor, with the way that you've continued to progress. So when you say, you took the test, it's not easy to become a firefighter. It's not easy to become a lieutenant, and certainly not a captain. So talk about, the work that you put into it and, everything else that it took to, you talked about some challenges in the academy. And I think it's important to note, whatever those were, you got through them, and here you are a captain. So what is it that made you successful in all those endeavors, do you think?
Okay. Well, the push-ups, the sit-ups, and a run wasn't really a challenge because when I went through military basic training, those were the things that we did. But I had some challenges with raising a ladder. I never raised a ladder. I don't even remember climbing a ladder before I came to the fire department. So when I recognized that I had challenges, the fire department had programs where to help you get through it. Now, those were mandatory things if you were unsuccessful that you had to participate in. But I was so determined to get it that I would also do the voluntary session. So every day before class and after class, I was there. And at that time, they didn't have lights in the academy. It wasn't well lit. So I would spend so much time there that one of my instructors would say, "Okay, Lisa, listen, there's no lights here. It's time to go." And I would just say to my instructor, "Just one more time, one more time." So it definitely was some challenges, but I never thought in my mind that I couldn't do it. My class had 10 women in it. One of the first females, unfortunately, to die in the line of duty was in my class, Joyce Craig. And we made a pact that first time we walked in there. I don't know if it was the first day, the first week, but I remember us making a pact that we were going to finish together, that no one was going to fail out the academy. And we got together on our off days and we worked. Like, no one gave us anything. If anything, we worked hard. I remember when we came there on the first day, we had to complete the skills course in 14 weeks. That was the time frame that they gave you, well, according to the book. But it changed to 10 weeks. We had to sign a waiver that said, you don't have 14 weeks, you now have 10 weeks. So that was a little scary at first because we had to put on the self-contained breathing apparatus. I never had anything like that on my face before. And it was challenging. So we made that pact that we were going to finish together, and all 10 women actually finished. 6 of them were African-American females, including myself.
So what an awesome work ethic, awesome teamwork, you know, hallmarks of our department, certainly. Thank you, Captain Forrest, for sharing your personal story with us. There's no question why Commissioner Ayers calls you or nicknamed you Lisa the Lionheart. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, I'll talk more with Captain Forrest about the Club Valiants, the work they have done, and the work they're doing in our city. So please stay with us.
Wake each morning and get lost in the adventure, knowing that you will be ready for wherever the day takes you. Learn from those willing to teach. Their wisdom and their strength will become yours. They will impart to you a tradition of education nationally recognized for its value. A tradition worthy of your best efforts. As young men and women of LaSalle, we will invest in you the guidance to blaze your own path, to go forth into the unknown with new certainty, to realize your full potential as professionals, as leaders, as citizens. To take up your place as the accountants, speech therapists, journalists, and CEOs of your generation. To impact this city and the world beyond. These adventures are yours, and you are ready for them. Explorers are never lost.
According to statistics, 40 million adults suffer from depression or anxiety. 1 in 4 college students are affected by this as well. You never know who is going through something, so you should always be kind to one another. A little kindness can go a long way. It might even save a life.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Philadelphia Fire Commissioner Adam Thiel. On today's episode, we've been celebrating the role that African American firefighters have played in our nation's and our city's history. One of those roles was documented by Joseph A. Marshall, a retired lieutenant of Engine 11 right here in Philadelphia. Lieutenant Marshall recorded the history of early African American firefighters in his book entitled Leather Lungs. The book from 1974 highlights one particular individual nicknamed Leather Lungs. This term has been used in the old days to describe firefighters who seem to be able to breathe the smoke without having to come out for air. Thankfully, today, we have self-contained breathing apparatus that allows us to become indispensable in every setting as we use the firefighting breathing apparatus to escape hazardous fumes and other dangerous environments. It's imperative that SCBA work correctly in all circumstances, and they must be inspected regularly, as users must be trained on how to use it properly with frequent inspection before each use. Every time, this helps our SCBA ensure that they're fully functioning and safe when they are most needed. Now that you've learned a little more about our firefighting history and current equipment, let's get back to our interview with Captain Lisa Forrest. Before the break, we heard about Captain Forrest's career and her promotion to be the first female African-American captain in the Philadelphia Fire Department. Now we're going to hear about her other leadership role as president of Club Valiants. Welcome back, Lisa.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So let's talk a little bit about how Club Valiants came to be.
Okay, Club Valiants was started in 1962 by a man named Sam Singleton. Sam Singleton knew that African Americans were not allowed in some of the other organizations, so he wanted to start an organization that could be inclusive of African Americans. And also, it was at that time, a brotherhood because no sisters existed. So it was a support group. So if anyone was having problems, they could come to Valiance and talk about their problems. In addition to talking to their problems, they linked up with other cities and actually got some things moving where more African Americans could come into the fire service. So that's how Club Valiants came apart in 1962, and Club Valiants will be celebrating their 55th year anniversary this year. So that's a great accomplishment.
That's a really great accomplishment. And also, Club Valiants really formed the core of the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, which is the national organization for equity and diversity in the fire service.
Absolutely. We're one of the founding members of the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, and I believe to date still the largest chapter in the organization.
So another place where Philadelphia is the first and the best among equals, of course. So let's talk a little bit about Club Valiant's mission today. You're doing so many important things with recruiting and out in the community. So what are the things for you as the president that you're looking for in the future?
Okay, well, we just finished a class for people coming into the fire service. Well, I think this last November, a test was given, and we held prep classes. Prep classes have been held for years, and sometimes you go to recruit people and they put in an application, but then they go to take the test and they're unsuccessful. So it's not just about recruiting people, it's to make sure that they can successfully pass the test. So we offer 6-week classes free of charge. All you have to do is offer your time, and we'll show you how to take the test. And then we'll walk you through the process once you get into the academy if you need help. So that's one of the things that we do is recruitment, and then offer classes for people taking the test. But we also do some other things in the community, such as book bag drives. We do turkey giveaways during Thanksgiving. We do toy giveaways for Christmas, and anything that the community may come to us and say that they may need. There's been times where people have come to the organization and stated that they need things, and if we could offer that, we're there We're in the heart of the community, and the community that we serve is predominantly black. You know, they're African American, is an African American community, so we're there to help. In the near future, we're going to be offering CPR classes. We know how important that is.
It really is.
So whatever the community needs are, we were the first to actually put smoke alarms into houses. We started a program, the Club Valiants started a program years ago to help the community stay safe by putting smoke alarms. We know how important smoke alarms are. You know, they don't save you from fire. Well, excuse me, they don't stop the fire, but by getting that detection, you can get out the building and your life can be saved. So those are some of the things that we've done and that we're doing. And like I said, whatever the community needs, we are a fraternal organization and now, but we're also a community-based organization, and that's what it's about, the community.
So I do want to mention that, you know, obviously all of this information about our recruitment and a lot of our community activities for the fire department, again, many of which were piloted by Club Valiants, are available on our website at www.phila.gov/fire. And remember that we're recruiting year-round. I mean, you know that. That's always, people always ask, well, when are you giving a test? For us, you know, it can take a year or two to even get prepared to take the test. So that's, you know, we encourage folks to go ahead, put an interest card in online. You know, you're part of our recruitment team too. Make sure that you don't take yourself out of the process before you even get in it, right?
And one of the things that we also do is, although the process may not be active, we kind of stay involved. We give out our phone numbers to the individuals that we come across, and people do call us, and we give words of encouragement. Just don't worry about it, just, you know, have a little bit of patience. For me, it took 2 years, so I know what it is to have patience. So I tell the individuals that I come in contact with, and some of the other members of Valiance, you know, just be patient. And we say, keep your nose clean, you know, making sure that you don't get in trouble, you know, that you don't owe the city any money, parking tickets, making sure that you don't get in trouble with the law, you know, that you remain drug-free. So in the waiting process, we tell you what to do, and we encourage people to do other things. Like, you know, you have colleges that offer fire science classes, so we also offer, tell them that they could do that while they're waiting. So it won't be a total shock to them what's going on in the fire service once they get called.
And we also certainly encourage veterans to apply as well. You know, appreciate your service, but veterans, that kind of service, there's a great, you know, and you've experienced a great crossover translation right into the fire and emergency services, right, for veterans from all the branches.
Yes, and it's funny because there were a number of the people in the class with myself that were veterans, and it's an easy transition, you know, when you're going through it, because you're used to a routine. When you're in the military, you know, I know that you talked about being in the military before, is, you know, you're in a routine of things and you don't have problems submitting to authority, discipline, you know, making sure that your uniform is tight and making sure that you pay attention to detail and, you know, the little things that are really the big things.
So obviously you've devoted your life to service in many ways. And what is it now? I mean, you're serving in so many different ways. What is it now that, you know, what motivates you? What keeps you moving forward? What makes you excited when you go to work? I mean, this is a tough job. We have a lot of fires. We have a lot of emergency medical calls. Again, I've said this before, just the greatest folks in this business I've ever seen right here in Philly. But what is it for you that really keeps that spark, that lion heart, that lion heart going?
It's funny, I come from a strong family, and they taught us some valuable lessons. Like, my family taught me some valuable lessons, and I'm big on my family name and trying to make my family proud. So it started with, you know, wanting to make my mother and father proud. And then 9 years ago, I had a little one, and I realized that she's watching my every move. So I have to make sure that I'm doing things right because she's looking at me. But not only that, I come to find out that others are looking at me. Yes, I am the first African American fire captain in the fire department, and actually I'm the first African American female Club Valiants president. There's never been a female president of Club Valiants either. And I don't take that lightly, being the first. So when you're the first, usually all eyes are on you to see what you want to do. So because of that, I try to carry myself in a way where people will be proud to emulate me, because I emulated somebody else. You know, I had mentors all over the city and all over the country. And I just want to make sure that I continuously make those proud of me like they did. So I realize that I have a higher calling. It's not just for me. What I do is for somebody else. I'm the first, but if there's no one after me, then that's a problem. So my goal is not to be the last.
Well, you are definitely leading from the front, and thank you so much for being here on the show today and sharing your experiences. And we do hope that you'll join us next time on Freedom from Fire. And remember, fire is everyone's fight. If you want to find out more about today's show and about more information, you can always check out our social media websites. Our website, again, I mentioned that, www.phila.gov/fire. We're at Philly Fire Department. I'm at Thiel Adam. So you can find out a lot about us online. And again, I want to thank Captain Forrest for being with us today, and keep up all the great work. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, sir.